Hey, Walt here from StogieReview.com, here with yet another one of these rolling reviews. This time around I have to be brief. I'm kind of unprepared. I didn't check the battery level on my little camcorder here, and it's getting kind of low, so all of a sudden if this thing dies, it's the battery and I can't really do anything about it. So this time around I am smoking the Punch Signature. It's a cigar that General sent me pretty recently, actually. They sent me a 5-pack sampler, which they generally do to a variety of blogs, and I was pretty eager to light it up. I mean, in my mind, General Cigar is kind of like Anheuser-Busch. You know, they produce a product that has that has to appeal to the masses. You know, they're out for world domination. They're not like a smaller company that you know is looking to carve out a little piece of the market. You know, General is trying to appeal to sheer volume. So whenever I try a General cigar for the first time, I don't really set the bar terribly high. I mean, I don't go into it expecting the cigar is going to perform poorly, but I really don't expect it to knock my socks off or anything like that. I am an occasional Punch Rare Corojo smoker, so I was kind of curious as to how this cigar would compare to the one that I pick up from time to time. And to be completely honest with you, this cigar blows it out of the water. It is the best thing that I've had from General since the original Artesanos, which came out, what, 5, maybe 6 years ago. The one before the two-tone thing, the original was just a thing of beauty, and this Punch Signature is my new favorite General cigar. It's got a lot of pep behind it. Now, if you read the promotional material they send out with the cigar, the press release, it talks about going back to the original Punch blend and reclaiming some of that strength that the brand had years ago, the power, the full-bodiedness of those older cigars. Now, I've got friends that have been smoking since the boom, and the one story they always tell is if you wanted a powerhouse back in the boom days, you picked up a Punch. Punch was where the power was. And so I think this cigar is supposed to be a little bit of a throwback to that, the older Punch style, from back in the boom days. And I've never experienced one of those boom cigars, but I have to imagine that this kind of lives up to the stories. It's got big, bold flavor. It's got a really rich and oily sort of texture. After the smoke is expelled, it's just it's got a really smooth, nice finish to it. Body-wise, it is definitely in the full range. It's not the fullest thing I've ever smoked. It's probably not gonna. It's not going to be more full-bodied than something like Joya de Nicaragua, Antonio, 1970, or anything like that. But it is definitely a nice full-bodied change of pace. It is significantly more powerful, more full-bodied, more flavorful than that Punch Rare Corojo that I'm accustomed to. And the flavor profile is very appealing. I'm really enjoying it. In terms of appearance and construction, I really like the Punch Signature. I'm one for traditional packaging. I don't like all the crazy stuff going on with cigars today. I feel that the cigar should live up to, all the hype, not the marketing. And I'm a traditional guy at heart. I like the older style, traditional appearance of cigars, but in this case, I really like the little sidestep they've taken, getting away from the traditional red Punch band and doing this white band with stylized letters. It's something different. It's not too far away from the those traditional accents that I like, or the traditional appearance. And I think it looks cool. Construction-wise, these cigars are impeccable. They look beautiful, nice, rich, and oily. Small veins. The burn is thin and even for the most part. I get an ash that's pretty firm. It takes a little bit of an effort to knock it off the end of the cigar. I'll get over an inch long without issue. Good volume of smoke, easy draw, thick, rich smoke, as I had mentioned. The only issue that I've run into, and it's kind of a big one, is on 2 of the 5 cigars that I've smoked, I've had a little hole in the filler, a little tunneling going on. It greatly reduces the smoke volume. It changes the flavor profile. The smoke gets hot. I haven't had one that caused me to toss the cigar, but it definitely pulls it down. It goes from being just a really enjoyable cigar to being lackluster for the period where you've got that hole in the filler. Fortunately, I haven't had one last for very long. Generally, I can smoke through them in, 10, maybe 15 minutes at most. And then you're kind of right back on track again. The smoke volume picks up, the flavor corrects itself, and all is well in the world. In the flavor department, you've got a very full-flavored cigar. It's rich, it's hearty, it's got a texture that's damn near chewy. You get a bit of spiciness through the sinus. You get a lingering peppery flavor. It's almost got a bit of a savory flavor that just lingers. Afterwards, after you take a puff, let the smoke out, retrohale it a little bit, that lingering residual smoke that's left over gives me almost a salty taste. It makes me salivate, kind of hits the pressure points on the tongue. If your tongue had a funny bone, this little delicate flavor is kind of whacking on it, and it makes for an interesting little twist. Nice little, almost like a secondary flavor that happens. There isn't a whole lot of change that I've noticed with this cigar. I don't want to say it's one-dimensional, but there really isn't a whole lot of diversions going on. It's you're just kind of taking that one path all the way home. It'll get richer, it'll get a little bit more flavorful, but there isn't any dramatic change from start to finish. If that type of cigar is up your alley, then this is the one for you. If you like wild flavor changes along the way, a lot of variation, this cigar is it's not going to do it for you. This is kind of that one, slow and steady wins the race sort of cigar. Now, last but definitely not least, maybe the most important category is the price. How much is the Punch Signature going to set you back? And is it worth it? Well, the documentation that I got from General said that the suggested retail price on the Robusto, which is what I'm smoking, it's actually quite a large Robusto at a 5x54, but I think it came in at about $6.75, with the larger cigars getting a little bit more expensive. There is a Rothschild, which is more of what you would imagine of being a Robusto format, at about 4.5 by 50, or I guess the Rothschild is actually a Rothschild for a change. But I think that is the only one that comes down below that $6.75 mark. It puts this cigar in a really tight category, in that 5 to 7 range, because there's just a lot of competition there, especially right now. I tend to base all of the cigars in that 5 to 7 range on the AJ Fernandez New World. As far as I'm concerned, that is the best bang for your buck that you can buy right now, and I'm just comparing everything in that space to that cigar. Is it better or worse than the $5.90 that I'm spending on a New World from AJ? In this case, I like the price of the AJ better. This is a damn good cigar. I would definitely fork over $6.75 for this on occasion. I would be a little bit more comfortable with it if it were priced a little bit closer to the $6 range, flat $6 and up for the Robusto and larger. But it's $6.75. I think it's a fair price. It's like, how much money do you make for a living? It's, you could always be doing better. And in the cigar world, lower is pretty much always better when it's coming out of your own wallet. So I think $6.75 is fair, although I would kind of like to see it a little bit lower than that. It's a cigar that it has mass appeal, or I think it'll have mass appeal. I enjoy it considerably, and this is definitely my new favorite General cigar, the Punch Signature.